Okay. So this is a new recording we're doing on, actual brass tacks implementation. What are we proposing, right? And what we're proposing here is to go to, I'm just going to call it the county in question because I don't want to put pressure on anyone who's associated with the county in question. Um, and we go to the county in question, which is the county which is open to the question, do you want to know the truth about the polycrisis? Right? And the truth about the polycrisis is both the analysis and the solution. The analysis of the polycrisis, but you're only going to get so far analyzing. We got to talk solution, right? And I think the law of the singularity applies here. There is a singular solution, and it consists of Chizzy, polycrisis, food healers, marine cloud brightening, and several other major pillars. But all the pillars are characterized by the last four that I just mentioned. Chizzy, polycrisis meaning an understanding of it and an understanding, so the analysis of it, and then the solutioneering part. Solutioneering is badass for the previous video on We Be Bad, right? Um, every part of what we're talking about is badass. But anyway, so you got Chizzy, you got polycrisis, analysis, solutioneering, and those are separate pillars on their own. The whole thing is a fractal. The more you zoom in, you see, certain patterns, but the hierarchy of topics is inevitable. Now that gets to a whole other thing of all the different possible taxonomies and component taxonomies, and that's why I created the concept Wixonomy when I was at Microsoft for wiki taxonomy, which really means it's kind of like a GitHub of taxonomies. Anyway, so we go to the county in question that's open to the question to which all these things are the answer, right? Collectively, not individually, collectively. You've got components to the collective overall answer. We arrive as Darth Vegan, immediately rolling out food healers and, and of course, music, art, including comedy.
We are breaking bread together.
Yeah, that's right. And opening conversations on literally all the above. Is there any topic within all of the above that we've been recording tonight that you would not be very forthcoming about in the county in question, right? With the performances and everything in question. So we're opening conversations. Yeah, it's time to do this. It's time to bring it to the real world. We're opening conversations in the real world in the most powerful political capital of the world. Think of the great political capitals of their times, right? Beijing during, thousands of years of Chinese dynasties, for instance, other major cities. And present day 2024, the most powerful political capital in the world is not Beijing, it's not Moscow, it's Washington, D.C. Right? The United States of America is the big bully who everyone watches. It's the big dog that when he starts barking, everybody else shuts up and listens, right, so to speak. So, the county in question is quite proximate to Washington, D.C., and which means that there's a whole bunch of counties in question. I mean, look, ultimately, this needs to happen in every county, not just in the United States, but in the world. And
We possibly could offer credits to the students for having attended such sessions.
no, no, we've been talking about that extensively. Haven't you
Oh
been in?
yeah,
You've been in
yeah.
on
I've
those
been, I've
conversations.
been in
Okay.
on those. Yeah, thank you. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. So look at previous Block Party recordings for, you know, um, all the details leading up to all this, or a lot of the details. And really, we're basically taking this out of somebody's garage, right? Right now we're in your garage, Michael, and sometimes we're in my garage or the garage in Santa Fe or whatever, but we're taking it out of GarageBand mode and into, we are the world mode, right? And we're starting with some very powerful and important counties in question. And we only really, after the first few minutes of brief introduction to the whole auditorium of the whole school, which, as far as I'm concerned, could include all four SPAT communities. We might find a larger venue than what the school has, but a lot of these schools have pretty big venues, or certainly access to huge venues. So no problem there. We're talking to the four SPAT communities: students, parents, administrators, teachers, and we say, we get to the heart of, do you want to know the truth about the polycrisis? We get right to the heart of that. And we get to the heart of Chizzy, and we get to the heart of all of the most daunting problems that we face that we've not been facing. And the point is to face it. The point is to face it together with overwhelming intelligence. We're talking about bringing overwhelming intelligence that will blow away the most powerful AI of that moment in the proximate future. Not this moment, that moment. So wherever AI has exponentiated to, we're going to be like Roadrunner, passing up the Wile E. Coyote of AI, and, beep, beep, shoom, and just blowing past it and just leaving a trail of smoke or dust or whatever. That's what we're talking about. That's how intelligent Chizzy will become. So we're talking about bringing overwhelming intelligence. Doesn't it sound like a military statement? It's overwhelming firepower followed by overwhelming logistics, supported by overwhelming logistics. Okay, great. Well, here we're bringing overwhelming intelligence and overwhelming benevolence, overwhelming philosophical foundations, like, for example, Hegelian logic, ever living meetings, New World Spirit, just to name a few facets. Um, so and we blast in with Darth Vegan, music, art, comedy, food healers, conversations, including Chizzy, polycrisis, etc. And those become the main pillars of the whole thing. And solutioneering. What's solutioneering? Where do I study that at university? Well, guess what? Maybe you shouldn't be going off to university. Maybe you should be standing right where you're standing and focused on this moment of, do we save, heal, and transform life on earth or not? Right? So again, we blast in with all this fanfare and music and food and carnival. We basically bring the carnival to town, but it's not a monetary carnival. We don't accept donations. The food is free. There's money. We create a money-free zone. Money-free zone. Now, you might think money and free are redundant. Why not just call it free? Well, anyway, that's a topic unto itself, the money free zone. There's so many cool things that are going to emerge from this, right? It's just going to be a popcorn machine of ideas, of concepts, many of it which will end up being branded and copyrighted and all trademarked and all these good things. And hopefully most of that will just end up in the collective commons. And in fact, maybe we have, amongst our laws that all conversations become part of the collective commons, just like the forum in ancient Greece, right? Anyone could walk up to, literally anyone could walk up to and listen to any conversation that was happening at the forum. I think it generally happened on weekends or who knows what, or maybe it was ongoing. But anyway, we could make one of the laws that all the material, everything that's said, spoken, recorded, or et cetera, ends up in the collective commons, right? And that's one of the vows that the Hegelians take as per Mark, but that's just kind of a pointer for a future conversation. In fact, I invite everyone to take any of these videos and timestamp any point that we're making and that you want to branch from, paste the timestamp link into your YouTube video that you make right there at home, publish it, include the stamp, and anyway, we'll find a way of mapping all this together, and that's part of Chizzy. That's a fundamental part of Chizzy. Conversations are things. They can be. You can point to any moment in the conversation, branch off from there. And so that's part of the whole taxonomic explosion. It's an explosion in topics, but also an explosion in networked conversations, because many of these conversations are ongoing. And that's part of why we work so hard to keep the block party ongoing. And we're now on the eve of block party number 173 that happened almost all Fridays.
And the block party has attendees from around the world, literally.
Yeah, one time we had like 6 continents, literally 6 continents, all there at the same time. And we've done, related things like the press conference. And in fact, we can hold a press conference right there on the street, get the media to come, or at the auditorium, right? Probably the auditorium might be better for a whole bunch of reasons. Fine. And then let the media follow us to the street, right? We can also possibly relaunch Operation Welcome Home, though I'd love to do that with the Gary Sinise Foundation. But if we need to launch it sooner than they're ready, I mean, the veterans shouldn't be waiting. And so I can't think of any reason to cause them to wait any longer. So that could be another thing that we do with the high school students, Operation Welcome Home. What great learning that these students call some of the biggest corporations in America and say, hey, we need your support for what? For Operation Welcome Home. Anyway, more to follow on that. So we're basically talking about how we blast in. I'm going to have to take a pause for a few minutes and I'll be back. So I'm just going to pause this recording, maybe end it. All right, be back in a few.